reporting on an experiment I did with homegrown plums and my Keto Mojo ketone and glucose meter. Now, I generally follow a meat-based carnivore diet, but in the summertime, when the fruit starts to ripen and come in, I test homegrown fruit. I never eat fruit that I would buy at a market, just too sweet, too much sugar. But I was hoping that some homegrown fruit might not affect my ketones and my blood sugar and everything else as severely. So just I want you to take a look at the size of this plum. It's very small. And these aren't from my garden. These are from a friend's garden, but they are natural and organic. They grew on her trees. So I thought, they might work pretty well. So I had four of these. Now, the good news is they didn't trigger me. They didn't make me want to like eat all the sugar in the house. But the most important thing is what happened the next morning. And I have it written down right here. So I usually am in ketosis when I wake up and I'm fasted in the morning. But here's what happened the morning after I ate these plums. My ketones had dropped down to zero point 0.2 millimolar. But here's the worst part. My blood glucose, my fasting blood glucose had jumped up to 5.8, which is solidly in the pre-diabetic zone. If it had been over 6, I believe it would have been, due to tests, and there's some concern that it would be adult onset diabetes type 2. But definitely a jump. Really shocked to see my blood glucose that high. The reason I originally dropped sugar, went keto, and then ultimately went carnivore is that after my pregnancy 24 years ago, things just went really crazy. Terrible insulin resistance, terrible glucose intolerance. And so that is why I completely changed my lifestyle. But here is the good news. The next day, I went back to just beef and eggs, a little bit of cream, a little bit of butter to cook with. And really good news, the next morning, my ketones were back up to zero point 0.6 millimolar. Anything over zero point 0.5 is nutritional ketosis. And my blood glucose went down to 4.6, which is an excellent, perfect result. So once again, just testing. And the consequences of high blood sugar, oh my goodness, retinopathy, eye problems, kidney problems, very, very serious. And so I am 61 now. I started having these serious problems in my late 30s, early 40s, and going sugar-free, then keto, then carnivore has kept all of those problems at bay. And the results are right here. And I think that that's what's really exciting and encouraging to me is I have the meter, and so I have the proof that what I was doing before was hurting me. In other words, just one day of eating some homegrown fruit, just one day of eating some homegrown fruit, and I was already in a pre-diabetic zone the very next morning. But then the good news being just one day of going back to my clean carnivore, and boom, right back, the ketones were back up and the blood glucose was right back down. And so there it is. And I will keep testing. I think I'm going to do better. We have some vegetables coming in. We have tomatoes coming in. We have squash. And I'm going to be testing the vegetables as well. It might be that there was just too much sugar in those 4 plums to put me up over the edge. But I'm going to keep testing. And but I always know that if it doesn't work, I have that clean carnivore diet. The most important thing that I want to share with people is now that I rarely eat plants, I consume less of everything, including meat. So I'm actually consuming less because I'm more nourished and more satisfied. And I get a whole lot more done too. So there it is, blood glucose right back down to normal the next day after my experiment with homegrown fruit. Homegrown fruit. So as I always say, be well and eat for yourself, and I'll see you later.